Hey everybody, welcome back to a new Severe Weather Center forecast. Today is Saturday, September 14th, 2024, and Hurricane Florence made landfall as a Category 2 hurricane down near Grand Isle around Vermilion Bay areas in Louisiana. And it's brought some impacts. This is what remains of it. Actually, not this top half. That's from a separate storm system. But this is what remains of it. It did not bring any severe weather or tornadoes as I had thought, so there was no need for video on that. But the impacts, I mean, they went as expected, so nothing too serious came of that. But we've a lot to talk about regarding more hurricanes like this thing, which we will get into here in a second, along with future possible severe weather storms. So let's get right into it. All right, so this is what the National Hurricane Center has outlined as a 40 to 60% chance for a hurricane or tropical storm to form just off the coast of the Carolinas right here. This is a zoomed in satellite view. You can see this is the main area of concern right now. This is expected to move on the land pretty shortly, which will bring some concerns along with some heavy rainfall to areas that have not seen a lot of that within the last couple of weeks, especially on the eastern coast, or at least the mid Atlantic region, which is where this is supposed to go. But you can see it's very disheveled, and you see you got a lot of convection just out to its east. Got some dry air coming in around the backside of it, which is not allowing it to kind of get its act together here. Ultimately, I do not think this is going to become a hurricane or even a tropical storm. This will likely form into some sort of depression and rapidly weaken as this thing dies off relatively quickly. However, so that's all I'm gonna talk about for hurricanes. We're gonna get right into the future here of severe weather. Okay, so this is the jet stream here. You can see we have a lot of activity. We've had this low pressure system centered over the mid Atlantic northeastern region, which has brought a lot of cooler weather. But lately, it's been leaking in some heat, some much hotter weather that's now shooting in from the west here, pretty fast here. Along with that, we've had the finishing off dying system of tropical of Hurricane Florence down here in Alabama, Mississippi. This will eventually follow up with which is getting swung up by this one. These will quickly exit swiftly and rapidly, but again, we still have this low pressure system I was just talking about just off the coast of the Carolinas, and that's also going to pose that threat. We have another trough that's coming in through California around Monday, September 16th, which gives us ample time to kind of come up on land and cause some problems, which ultimate and that does happen. You can see right as this trough gets on land here, it becomes negatively tilted, which could bring some more severe weather back out to the Midwest, which that secondary mid severe weather season has started, and this is going to last all the way to about February, March of next year. So things are just starting to get kind of ramp back up here. But we will, for a brief period of time, we are going to have a nice, sweet, just kind of short period. And a lot of these troughs, now I'm not saying this one, but a lot of these will bring just cooler weather, maybe some rain showers or some storms. But we are going to enter a much quieter period of weather for the time being. But we still have this tropical appearance here that's gonna ultimately move up on the land, which is going to bring ultimately the Ohio Valley and Mid Atlantic and Eastern Coast area some much cooler and maybe and some wet, some wetter temperatures, which is going to be nice as that's what they need. But that'll quickly get diminished off due to another trough back here swinging down on the tip of Maine. And once that happens, we'll have another big boy trough up here, which that is all this is ultimately going to bring some sort of severe weather throughout the Midwest here in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we don't know how intense it's going to be, but it is going to bring some sort of impact, more than likely a little bit further up in the northern tier rather than the Midwest like that one trough did previous to this one. However, let's take that was the jet stream here. This is just a bunch of wavy winds and colors that doesn't really show what the radar could look like. So let's get right into what the radar could look like. All right, so coming into the future radar here, you can see we have this leftover activity from Hurricane Florence. It's just bringing ultimately all around rain showers pretty much moistening all of the the southern tier of the United States. You can see a lot of everywhere else is pretty much dry, except for from a couple of that severe weather that we had a few days ago when Florence was hitting. Before that, Florence activity is quickly going to transition to this right here, this low pressure system right here. The European does. I don't think the European has this highlighted as a low pressure system, but it does eventually. So I take that back. However, you will see it's bringing a lot of precipitation with this, and this does. I mean, this will bring some, could bring some a little bit of flooding and some gusty winds just off the coast here. But as this moves on land, you can see a lot of the area that was kind of dry and it's actually in a drought to the northern eastern tier, this is going to moisten a lot of that area. It's just going to whip these kind of moisture bands from the At- Atlantic Ocean on the land. And it's going to moisten pretty much a lot of the Ohio Valley Mid Atlantic region, which does need that rain. However, it's areas are going to see some areas could see more, like the coast is going to see more, you know, or if you go further inland, they could see more. Well, they're going to see less, obviously. But around the same time this is happening, you can see this low pressure system develops. This is where we have that chance for some severe weather and the first major kind of severe weather event to kind of form here. You can see we'll kind of have this try to form. It doesn't really happen, but we do get something secondary off of it, kind of forming up here in the north central tier. This, that could be the next thing that we start to really focusing on. Once that moves out of here, this I definitely think will be the next major thing that we talk about. We saw this on the jet stream. I did say that that would be a system we should be watching, and I definitely think that's true. This this will be the next major system we're going to start talking about, as this looks like it could bring some a multi-day severe weather event all throughout the Midwest down into Texas, Oklahoma. And I mean, it's pretty typical to see that still. It's still pretty typical. You can see very strong line here, very big. So that's definitely going to be something we talk about. And that even could leak into that could be a 3-day system. Say we have activity here, we're going to have activity the day before that and activity the day before that. However, that's still very far out. So, who knows to say what's going to really happen with that. But that is going to become something we're going to start talking about, I think, in the next couple of weeks. However, what are the temperature anomalies going to look like? We have all this rain on forecast for a lot of the areas that haven't seen it. What are the temperatures going to look like? Let's get right into that. All right, so this is the temperature anomaly graph here. This is the complete overview of them here, and you can see a lot of that heat has really set in all across the United States, excluding Louisiana from that, excluding most of the South from the hurricane that landed there and all that moisture. And that's expected to actually make a lot of the South very cool. So Florida's gonna get a cool down at least for the time being. Everywhere else is gonna sit back in a lot of heat. And I did say this in a lot of my last videos. We knew this was gonna happen, and it's here. All I said all this heat went out west, and in the Rockies, out in the west coast. Well, now that we've had all those low pressure systems move out, and we've had some high pressure be able to slide back in, and look, we've had high pressure set back in here, and with more low pressure storms entering, cooling down California, where's the heat have to go? Well, because there's high pressure over here, the heat's gonna go over here. And now, so a lot of the air, much of the air is going to be well above average in temperatures, excluding the south. But everywhere else is going to see much, much above average temperatures, which does promote severe weather and just overall storms to begin with. So pretty much, we're going to have we're going to have a risk for severe weather pretty much every day here. It's not, and it's going to be, it's depending on the day, moisture in different areas, but we're gonna have severe weather, but one that I do want to note is we're gonna have a lot of heat. But after that heat, you'll notice because of remember that hurricane, that tropical depression system I was talking about at the beginning of the video, that's gonna move on the land. And that's also going to bring I wouldn't say cool down, but it's gonna bring moisture to, the the mid Atlantic region. The east coast, basically, Ohio Valley East Coast region, which is going to push that heat again out to the west. So once that kind of tropical disturbance moves on the land on the coast and it moves further inland, all that heat that was here, it's gonna is not migrate, but move out to the west. And a lot of the area out west is going to be sitting in well above average temperatures. It is going to be hot. It may even feel like summer in most areas. But once that disturbance moves through, we're going to see cold fronts start forming, and that's when we're going to see those storms, that severe weather I was talking about, like this right here. It's very defined cold front. When we start seeing things like this, that's when severe weather. That's when we're gonna have to start talking about tornadoes and all that, all the bad stuff. That's when we have to start talking about it again. But that's still very far off, so obviously not gonna have to talk about that. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Um, yeah, a little bit of an extended period before I did one, but that was because of the hurricane. We're gonna have more of these kind of regular kind of updates of long term forecasting, and when we have severe weather, we're gonna have all that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Um, Please, if you wouldn't mind sharing this, as it helps get this information out to people that would like to know this stuff and also that need to know the stuff in case we have like bad severe weather and days that could possibly endanger people. So if you don't mind sharing this, that'd be great. Otherwise, I will see everybody in the next weather forecast. Goodbye.